Welcome to that 1870s homestead, friends. My name's Rachel, and we're going to do something really fun with daylilies today. You might call them ditch lilies. I know that's what my husband calls them. He thinks that they're a nuisance, but I know better, and you might know better too. But better than a honeysuckle? The entire plant is edible. Tastes like lettuce. I'm going to tell you all about daylilies today. So good. We're going to make something with them. And then, yeah, see if we don't learn a thing or two together today. All about daylilies. All right, well, I'm just right outside the front porch where we just were. This is a big catalpa tree, and it is surrounded with a garden of daylilies. Some of them have some cottonwood on them, so I'm going to be slightly gentle and take the cottonwood off. Now, when I harvest them, I want the little green bulb at the bottom. So I take off that little bulb right at the bottom. And daylilies are a regular culinary item in Asian dishes, so in their cooking. And I think that when I was researching it to be able to share with you guys today, they were first introduced over in Europe, maybe in the 15 or 1600s, brought to America in the by the Europeans in the 1600s, mostly as landscaping, but I believe that they did still eat them. And, nowadays, just like dandelions, kudzu, everything else that came over here, we treat as a noxious weed in some instances. Some of us behold the beauty that is daylilies, and they have been cultivated. So when you are harvesting, definitely go with the original, orange daylilies that you see growing alongside the roads. Not anything that you necessarily bought from the store. It's probably not going to be the same taste, flavor, all of that. I doubt it would be poisonous, but better to be safe than sorry. You can also, when these are brand new like this, before they are bloomed out, you can take those off, deep fry them, and fry them up is a delicious way to eat them. The tubers themselves are edible, kind of like a crunchy potato. The shoots are edible, the leaves are edible, the entire plant is edible to humans. So I'm going to go through and harvest all of my daylilies, not all of them, but I've still got tons that are going to bloom. So even though it might make it look a little barren today, it'll be back in full glory tomorrow. This part, so I was mentioning on the porch how the leaves taste just like crunchy lettuce. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Slightly sweet. And then the stamen inside. Whoops, if I can get it out. Whoop. So you're wanting this tip at the end because that's where all the sweet, sweet honey flavor is. And if you can just get that stamen out, just like a honeysuckle. Oh yeah, see all that juicy yumminess? You can suck it just like a honeysuckle. And it's absolutely delicious. I have to eat this one now. Hopefully you guys can hear that. It's really, really crunchy. Yeah, but I have these growing all over my property. They're growing right here around this tree, in the front yard around the utility pole, and then back by the barn. So I won't need to harvest all of them for what we're making today, but I've got plenty that I can do this every year if I want. This is my first year preserving daylilies, but I wanted to share it with you guys. You might think that there would be bees all over these daylilies, but there's so much clover and everything in our back pasture that they're not even coming up around this. So I guess that's one thing to consider, is if you have enough pollinators and sources of food for the insects that need it. We definitely do, so this won't hurt them at all. And there are daylilies down the ditches, up and down these streets. So plenty to be had and plenty to be shared. Well, I think that's enough daylilies for what we're wanting to do today, so let's head into the kitchen. Okay, so we're gonna make daylily syrup. You can make syrups basically from any edible floral. They're all gonna taste different. This one will taste very similar to a honey. And I think it's a wonderful thing to teach people that, you know, if you don't have the time and resources, or, you know, even trees on your property to make your own maple syrup, or you don't have the capability to make your own honey with the equipment and the space it takes to maintain bee colonies. Maybe you don't yourself even have daylilies on your property. Make it a fun adventure. Go out foraging, collect yourself a whole bunch of daylilies, and come home and make your own syrup. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a light syrup. Hey, you could also turn this into a jelly, but today I'm just going to make syrup. I didn't harvest my maple trees. Rue. I didn't harvest my own maple syrup this year. So we're going to be doing our corn cob syrup and our daylily syrup. So the first thing I have to do is get water boiling. We're going to pour this, cover these petals till they're submerged so that they can steep. And they're going to steep. You should really let it go overnight. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll probably be back this evening and we'll take the next step. I'm assuming I have about 8 cups of flowers here, so I'm not quite sure how much water I'm going to need. So I heated up my tea kettle as well. They do need to be submerged in the water. All right, we're going to let this soak, and we will be back when it's time for the next step. Look at that color. That's amazing. It's almost purple. Odd. Maybe orange and green make purple in the natural world. I don't know. But we're going to let these steep. Like I said, you should do it overnight. Maybe we will, but I think I'm going to be too not patient and come back tonight. We'll see. I am back, and I had forced patience yesterday, so I didn't end up wrapping this up yesterday, but so they've actually been steeping 24 plus 2 hours, so 26 hours. I'm just going to strain them into my stove pot. And then we need to measure out. Did I tell you guys what I'm making? I don't even remember. I did so much yesterday. We're making dandelion syrup. Just strain these out. And I'm sure some of you will ask, did you wash the flowers before you did anything like that? Nope, sure didn't. Just they looked pretty darn clean and fresh. They stand about 3 feet off the ground. And we don't do any spraying or anything like that of anything on our property. So I got all that good natural pollen in there, which is always good for us. And did I tell you another fun fact about daylilies? They have more protein, vitamin A, I think, and possibly a good source of vitamin C, but anyway, more protein, more of one of those vitamins than green beans or asparagus. How about that? But we're about to turn this unhealthy because I need to measure this now and see if my strainer would have fit, I would have done it in one bowl. And if you have a bowl where you can measure at the same time, that's great. How much liquid I have, and we're going to add sugar to equate that liquid and start making our syrup. All right, so we have right at 10 cups of juice. So that tells me I need 10 cups of sugar. All right, I'm using very, very unprocessed sugar. So this is extremely raw sugar. So it's a little bit weaker in sweetness than, say, a regular white sugar. So if you're using a regular white sugar, you could go with a little bit less sugar than I'm having to use. But standardly for blossom syrup, you're going 1-to-1 ratio of your liquid and your sugar. And you can make all kinds, guys, of floral syrups. There's so many natural occurring florals. You could use your lilac blossoms, honeysuckle, wild violets, pansies. Geez, I don't remember them all. There's a long, long list of all the available flowers. So I'm going to bring this up to boil, and then we're going to boil it. I do want mine a thicker syrup, so I'm going to try to get it around 219 degrees. It's going to take a while. It'll reduce quite a bit, and we'll be back as we go through this process and check in on the syrup making. Okay, we're just starting to boil. So I don't know how to describe it, and I don't want to teach you guys anything wrong. I make maple syrup a lot from my own maple trees, so I know what I look for when it comes to the size of the bubble, to start checking it when it actually gets like syrup. And it gets this it's hard to explain, this really crystally consistent bubble across the top. And when I was saying I had to take it to 219 earlier, that's only with maple syrup because you're building up the sugar content to water ratio, and we've kind of already done that. So what I like to do is put a cold plate in the refrigerator, and then I'll drop, or in the freezer, and then drop a spoonful on and see if it's, as it sets, if it's more like syrup. So, because we know when you heat real syrup up, it becomes like really, really runny versus when it's at room temperature and cold. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you that. I'm going to take just this little bit of foam off the top. That's just impurities in the syrup. You'll see that when you make jelly too, and jams, and it just helps it set nice and cleanly. So we'll just take that little bit of foam off. It's getting close. Those bubbles back there, when that's all the way across the top, that's what I'm looking for. All right, I think we are there. That bubble is nice and foamy and consistent across the top. Big bubbles popping. So I'm just going to do my plate test. It's not exactly cold because I have been doing this off camera, but I want to show you. So I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute. And I run my finger through it, and that not only does it feel like syrup, it doesn't immediately run back together. When I hold up my finger, it doesn't immediately drop off. It takes a while to form even a drop. So those are some of the things that I do to check when it's ready. I also run my finger across the spoon and see it's not dropping. So good. Buttery, buttery. All right, I'm gonna cut off this heat, and we're gonna get to fill in our jars. All right, I got the water in the water bath canner heating up behind me. We are going hot to hot, so we want hot water to our hot jars, hot liquid. And I found these cute canning jars at my son's house that they bought, that we were cleaning out the attic, and they're absolutely adorable. So I'm going to about ½ an inch or so of headspace. I'm doing it in these jars because this will make such a fun gift come Christmas. say with some teas or a box of cookies or homemade mixes. And guys, I will tell you, if you have children and they're used, I would say at least if they're used to real maple syrup, easily foolable with this. It doesn't have an extreme floral flavor, not exactly a nutty flavor like a walnut or maple syrup, but that yummy, buttery, just delicious. Lick your lips good. Now, if you didn't want to take it down to like a pancake or syrup texture flavor, you could have stopped boiling this a long time ago and just had it as a simple syrup to use as a sweetener, add to cocktails, you know, just put in a seltzer water during the summer, add it to your teas. So it's up to you how far you want to boil it down. All right, so I'm just using some vinegar here and wiping any sticky spills I got on the rims, because that would definitely potentially lead to a failed seal. Howee, that is hot. So if you just want to make a small batch of this for fun and you don't want to preserve it, you just want to do it like with your kids at home or your grandkids, feel free to, you know, don't go crazy like I did. And this will store in the fridge for like 4 to 6 weeks probably. So I'm going to now, Todd's loading the canner. I'm going to can this for 10 minutes. Once it comes up to boil, just water bath canning, and then I'll come back. I'm saving this jar aside because I'm going to put it in the fridge overnight as if I was using it out of the pantry. And oh yeah, that is drops and drops. Delicious, yummy syrup. Oh, so good. Honestly, it's fooling me, and I make my own syrup, so it's that good. We are going to show it in the morning. Like, I'll probably put a little bit in my coffee or something, but I'll get a spoon and show you after the heat settles down and everything how it sets. So thanks guys for coming with me. Super fun idea. Like I said, you don't need the trees. You don't even need daylilies growing on your own property. Go out for a hike, go exploring, harvest yourself some. It's just another amazing everyday resource available right at your fingertips for free. I'd eat it.
They are good.
Yeah.